another episode of Consultant Spotlight, the show where we take a look behind the curtain to help you get to know us and our consultants a little bit better. I'm John Hovey, and today I'll be talking with Samantha Peaslee, who's an attorney and who works with us to provide legal guidance to small business owners. So today we'll talk about what's going on in her consulting practice, and we'll have time to answer all of your business law questions too. It'll be very exciting. We have today Samantha Peaslee, one of my favorite consultants.
Aww.
As I mentioned, for sure. You're an attorney, an expert in business law. You're a consultant. You're an educator. I think you hold the record for 2020 for the most webinars with us. So we got a lot to talk about. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great. Just kind of enjoying this Colorado sunshine while we have it. I'll enjoy some Colorado snow this afternoon.
Yep, it's kind of how it goes this time of year. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. That's what they say. Well, we got a couple questions to go through during this program, but what's new in the news? You know, there's COVID relief being passed in Washington. Tax time is coming up. What are you seeing? Are you getting any common themes in the consulting practice, or what should people be asking you?
Sure. Well, we're getting the common themes of, opening back up. How do we open back up safely? How do we protect our business? For some of the businesses that have already been weathering COVID back in there, that's something a lot of them are already doing. Maybe they're getting kind of refreshers. They're seeing how those policies need to change as things open up a little bit more. We're getting a lot of questions about vaccines, especially with employees and contractors. Whether those can be required, which, at the moment, that answer is no. There's just not enough of them going around. We're keeping an eye on what needs to be updated as far as that goes. Similarly, a lot of good questions that we get, and mostly my partner, Catherine, will handle a lot of these, but we all try to keep up to date with them, is, COVID employee policies as far as leave and sick time go, very important for small businesses, as well as the general Colorado put a lot of other employment changes in place this year. So that's kind of what we're seeing. We're through that time of year where a lot of people do their annual meetings, kind of clean up shop at the front end of the year, the back end of the previous year. We've handed a lot of things over to the accountants who are all doing their busy work right now. But it's also that time of year to, if your accountant is telling you that your LLC needs to switch its tax status from that of a sole proprietor, general partnership to an S corporation, to do the few things that you need on the legal side to make sure that you're complying with all of those as well. So yeah, always a little bit busy. COVID certainly keeping things interesting for us, but also a lot of normal time of year legal issues, as well as some Colorado specific changes that we're all still adjusting to.
All right, no doubt. Well, I have a question. So you're a specialist consultant on our roster, and what we normally try to do is set people up who are, if they're starting a business, we try to set them up with what we call a lead consultant who can walk them through that process. I guess my question is, what's the situation where you could be useful? Because a lot of the time, I think a business needs to just retain a lawyer. They have a problem and they need someone working for them full time. But when should someone seek your services through the SBDC?
That's a great question. And the lead consultants have a really good idea of when those things need to happen. And typically the lead consultants will recommend to SBDC clients, hey, you might just want to check in with one of the legal consultants. You might want to check in with one of the legal specialists. And they're really great at identifying those. But some of those main times that we want to see people come check in with us before they go through the process of trying to retain an attorney, or before they go too far down a road, first and foremost is, if you're starting up, before you decide what type of organization you want to be, we want to talk to you about that. We want to make sure that you understand what the differences in those are. We've done a bunch of those webinars, as John kind of alluded to, with the SBDC, so that people can also go view those at their own leisure. But in those consultations, we can really kind of figure out what the lay of the land is for you before you go down that process. You know, similarly, if people are looking at a prospect and they want to know if this is something that they even need legal help with, you know, do they really need contracts with these people before they start working with them? Do they really need to go protect this portion of their website before they post it? Well, you know, what's really the purpose of getting a trademark? Am I really getting enough for the money that I'm going with on those? Those are the questions that we love to see people with through the SBDC. You know, let's talk through the situation. Let's educate you a little bit about the state of the law, how it pertains to your situation, before you go jump into something that may or may not be the right choice for you.
That's great. I'm noticing a theme in your answer there of sort of earlier is better.
Earlier is better. Early and often.
A common theme that I hear when I'm speaking with people is, oh, I'm not ready to talk to a consultant, or I'm not ready to meet with the consultant until I do X, Y, and Z. And it seems like if someone's even got a question, that's a good starting point.
And you know, I feel like if you're not ready to meet with a consultant, you're probably not ready to start your business yet. We've had some really successful clients come through the SBDC who talk to us or an accountant or one of the lead consultants and realized they still had a lot of steps to go through. They put it off for another year and they ended up being very successful. And I think a lot of that is because they realized that if they had started when they were first thinking about it, they didn't actually have those resources ready and lined up. So earlier, better.
Oh, wow. All right, that's great. So back up a little bit. How did you get started with North Metro SBDC?
Oh, that's, you know, it's funny. I was just starting out as an attorney. So I also own a small business, Polaris Law Group. I'm a 50% owner in that, and I started right out of law school as a partner there, which meant that I needed to be running around meeting people, and actually getting clients, because if I didn't have clients, I didn't have work, and I wasn't going to get paid, or I wasn't going to eat. We all know that song and dance, and I was invited to an event at with a friend that had a lot of other business professionals there, and I met the friend made sure to introduce me to the then head of the Brighton SBDC outpost office. So there used to be a Brighton SBDC office as part of the North Metro SBDC. And we got to talking, and I told her I loved teaching. I told her what I was doing. And I think within 2 weeks, I was a consultant. She made sure that I got in there quick, and I've been doing it ever since. Love it. And so, you know, when I moved out of Brighton, just kind of kept going with the North Metro SBDC.
All right, well, that's great. And we still do have a close relationship with Brighton. We do not have that outpost anymore. We'll see what happens when the pandemic eases up a little bit more, if we could get someone back out there. That's good to know. Let's see. Well, to our audience, if you have any questions, I'll remind you to go ahead and type those in. One on my list, I wanted to ask if, obviously, we have a confidentiality policy. We can't name names or things like this, but do you have a success story of a client that you could share?
Yeah, well, so, you know, I kind of alluded to one earlier, and that one's still in a growing process, but I like to think of that as a success story because I think it everything went much more smoothly as far as that went. But definitely have some folks through the SBDC who have gone on to they're in their 4th or 5th year of business, and we're really starting to see them grow and blossom. You know, we always like to say it takes about 3 years before you start making that profit. And one of those ones, one of them that's a good success story within the North Metro SBDC, they're still within that 3 years, but they're at the point where they've actually started. They've done so well, and they've kind of laid that foundation so well. They started very focused and very narrow, and they're actually now able to expand out to some partner businesses. So kind of creating some sister businesses to go along with their main one, just because they have so much that they're doing and they're being so proactive about it, that they need these other side services that nobody else is providing. So they're going to provide them for themselves. So that's kind of my favorite current success story. Again, I'm always a little more limited, because with the legal side, I have to be very careful not to name drop too hard. But definitely more successes than we've seen failures recently. So always fun.
That is good. That is good. Well, thank you. Let's see. Looking over my list of questions, what I want to ask you next. All right, here's a random question. If someone anonymous donated $1 million and put you in charge of helping small business with this, you don't get to keep it. I'm sorry, but what's an area of need that you would direct that to?
Oh, that is a fun question. So many good answers to that. I honestly would probably direct more of it at education. I'd probably try and spend more of it to get a bunch of these small business owners connected with their peers and in a lot of these classes, so that they can really learn how to grow. Because as small business owners, we know that they're out there, and even the ones from the SBDC, they don't cost a lot of money, but every hour of time that we're spending away from our business just feels so difficult and so painful, even if we know it's a good investment. So I would probably want to engage in some programs um, that would actually pay these small business owners to go and invest in their business, so that they don't have to feel like they're choosing between helping their business grow in the long term and putting money in their mouth today. Um, I think a lot of other areas we're really good at, but that is one where I wish that we could get more business owners into these events, into these time, and then them not feel like it's having to make a really difficult choice there.
That's a really good answer. I love that answer.
You know me. We talked about webinars, education. At the end of the day, if you have money and you're investing it without knowing what to do with it, it's just wasted money. So all about the education.
It's true. Well, we're doing a few programs right now. As you know, we do a childcare course, and we're doing a digital marketing boot camp. We're doing a small manufacturing course. And I think your answer to that question is fascinating, because we have a lot of partners who are very generous, and they do subsidize the tuition, so that a lot of our programs are either free or very, very inexpensive. But it's not enough. And we hear quite commonly, people love the class, and then we give them some homework assignments, and they say, I have no time. I can't, because I have to make that choice. I'm running my business over here. I'd love to spend 6 hours this week doing these assignments to make myself a more talented business owner, but I just don't have the time. And if they could be reimbursed some way for that, I think that would be a really valuable thing.
Especially because then a lot of the ones who do have the time to do it, it's because the pain point's been reached. And so, it's one of those things where you don't want that pain point to have to be reached before you have the time to do it. And it's great when we can reduce the cost, but time is valuable for a small business owner. So
it sure is. How do you stay motivated? You're always so positive. You always come on these webinars like with the most energy, ready to go. what keeps you going?
Oh goodness. I'd have to say my team. I'm very lucky. I have another, like I said, I have an office partner. We have a new paralegal, who is fantastic and helps manage a lot of those time restraints. My husband obviously helps me out, supports me with that, but also, I have my external team. So I have a business coach. I absolutely meet with my business coach every couple of weeks to kind of talk through issues, to stay interested, to stay engaged. I have some of the consultants with the North Metro SBDC who I make sure I check in with, when there are new updates going on, when there's some questions that I have in their particular area, or sometimes even just to chat and to refocus as far as that goes. I have a great web developer who is a part of our team, and a couple of fantastic clients who started at the same time that I did, who all run by new ideas, new issues that we're having in the office. Or, if we're trying a new thing with invoices, I'll call them up beforehand, let them know that it's a new invoice coming out, and ask if they can really take a look at this one and let me know what they're thinking. Or same with, a new email signature. Um, so, I feel like all of those really keep me grounded, balanced. They give me a place to vent. They give me a place to try out new ideas. Absolutely could not do it without them. And I always have high energy when I'm coming here because, again, I love teaching. And so anytime that I get to do that, that's going to be a nice infusion of coffee into my day.
Oh, thank you. That's great. I like your network, your sort of professional network there. Would you advise people to have, to get a business coach or to start a group or something like this?
Absolutely. I mean, and oftentimes, we start it with our family because they're there, and our family is fantastic. We can't do it without them. But they don't necessarily get what it is that we're trying to do. A business coach gets what you're trying to do. Um, I'll say sometimes I think there are 5 key team members that every small business owner needs, and sometimes you kind of have to pick and choose who you get when. But you have your 2 A's, your attorney and your accountant. Then you have your 2 B's, your banker and your broker, your insurance broker. And then you have your C's, you have your coach or your consultant. So, if you don't have the time for a coach right now, I always tell them, go talk to your consultant. Your consultant is a great person to talk to while you're kind of getting to that point, where you need that more personalized. Not that the consultants aren't personalized. The consultants are very personalized. They just see a lot of people. So the consultants are a great first step towards getting that business coach, that person who you can really just run through your business with, and that they know it. But they're not your partner. And so, obviously Catherine and I talk about everything that goes on with our business, but sometimes I want to talk about the best way to approach something with Catherine. Can't really talk to Catherine about that. So business coach, absolutely invaluable.
That's good to know. We're starting a mastermind group program at the SBDC
Love
to
it.
help people build this network. Yeah, I'm excited about it. So I didn't know we were going to talk about that today here on the show, but I'm glad. It's a good concept, and I think you're right. It's something that everybody who is facing all the challenges of running their own business could absolutely benefit from.
Yeah, mastermind groups are great, and definitely should be utilized. And not just utilized. If you don't like the first one you go to another one, because there are so many that you need the one that's the right fit for you. It's not useful if you're sitting in something and like, I don't belong here. So, I'm looking forward to seeing the SBDC ones, because I think we'll get some good cross sections of the small business population.
I think so. Neat. What has been the biggest either failure or disappointment that you've seen in the world of small business in the last year?
Oh, in the last year. Well, I will tell you, in the last year, it was heartbreaking. I was seeing about two and a half, on average, two and a half of my client businesses close a month. Which just, you see somebody try and work so hard for something. And quite frankly, some of them early on knew that this was a make or break it year anyway. And COVID was the straw. And some of them, they just had to leave the small business world to find something more stable, which, I understand, very happy for them when they do find that. But always heartbreaking to see that, as far as that goes. Or when people are having to make the hard choices of their business, letting go a longtime employee to see the business survive. That's never fun. That's not fun for the business owner any more than it's fun for the employee. It's a hard choice. So yeah, a lot of those tough ones this year. I think people overall handled it well, and I think a lot of our businesses were able to pivot, to kind of say that on the upside. But the ones that really broke my heart were the ones that ended it with a lot of debt that they wouldn't necessarily have had if not for COVID. Of just all right, putting off paying the rent, putting off paying the rent, putting off paying the supplier, putting off paying the supplier, and so you come out of it in a worse position than when you went in, and you weren't like that 3 months ago. So it was a hard one for a lot of those.
It is. Well, not to end it on a down note. Another random question. What is one book that you would recommend, to an entrepreneur getting started, that they could read and, it would be beneficial to them? Do you have a book that you give people that you recommend?
There's so many. So I'm a avid, I'm a bookaholic. So usually my answer as to what I'm recommending is kind of what I happen to be reading right at that moment. So there is that. However, I will say it's kind of a more general one that I like a lot, although with the caveat that it is a very particular writing style that does not appeal to everybody, is The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. And if you're getting started out, I think that's just a great one. He's the author of The Profit First, which I know we've had a couple of consultants who do that series, and Pumpkin Plant, Clockwork. He has other ones for as you're growing. But when you're starting out, that can be kind of a good one with a lot of funny anecdotes and a lot of people who kind of, started out with nothing. But again, it's a very particular writing style. So if you're not on the more conversational writing style sort of thing, it might not appeal to you, but I definitely think it's worth checking out. And I'm happy to talk about books for people at any stage in their professional career at any time, and always happy to receive book recommendations because, as I said, I just kind of go through them a little too quickly.
Oh, wonderful. That's good to know. Make your appointments now. You can talk about literature or law.
Or both. Law of literature. Love it.
Even better. All right. Let's check our question list from the audience. Type in a question. We've got none. Well, let's see. I guess what I can do is remind our audience that this is Consultant Spotlight, and that we're a production of the North Metro Small Business Development Center, where we help small businesses like you with free one-on-one consulting and free or low-cost education. And our website is northmetrosbdc.com, and we can obviously mention your site as well, Samantha, is polarislaws.com.
Well, other way, lawpolaris.com.
Lawpolaris.com. I apologize for not having that on my screen
All
here.
good. Updates on it going live on Friday, fingers crossed. So we'll have a nice, shiny new site.
Wonderful. That's good. Well, I'll put a link in the email that we send out to everybody who requests information on this webinar, and we'll make sure that they get the recording. Any last words, last thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I appreciate, the SBDC having me here, and am glad that everybody's getting to know all of the various consultants. So if you ever have any questions about any consultants while you're working with me, I'll probably link to their consultant spotlight so that you can see who they are before you set up your meeting with them. So be ready to watch a lot of these if you are going to be reaching out to me for consulting, because I refer to a lot of different people. So yeah, no, other than that, thank you for having me here. I'm loving this.
Well, I'm glad. It's a real pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Sam. And we should plan on another educational webinar coming up soon here.
You know where to find me.
I do. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you on webinar soon. Thank you to our audience for tuning in. And that's all I got. We'll see you next time.
Well, have a good day, John. Have a great day, everyone.